Right, we're all good to go. Got my wireless mic on, so hopefully you can hear me clearly without me shouting. Decent quality sound over the heater. In my spray booth, it's just vital that I have this on in the winter. Also my fans, I've got two 450mm fans, which they've got pretty decent clean filters on, so they're sucking away. Got my doors open for the fans to suck in the air, and we're all good to go.
Hi, it's Georgina from the London Craftsman. I'm the person behind the scenes that you don't see on the camera. So today we're going to be talking about a company that we are working with, and they are called ITS. Now, one of the things they're doing when they're working with us is they're giving all of our lovely subscribers a little goodie bag whenever they make a purchase of over £50. So we've got a little drinks cup to keep you warm during these cold weather, a scraper for your van, a little torch because you're going out and it's late at night working, a bottle opener for those after work drinks, a tape measure, always handy to have in your van, and this lovely jumper to keep you warm. Now, ITS is a company that has over 14,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, so they are a trusted company. They have a great service where you can order by 7 PM and by the next day you'll get your delivery. They work 7 days a week, so if you're worried about not having a tool for Monday morning, you could order it on a weekend and there it is, it will arrive in time. They're a great company that also have a price promise, so if Toolstation or Screwfix look like they're cheaper, just tell them and they will price match everything. So don't forget, look in the comment section, there'll be a link to ITS. Don't forget to put London in their promotional section to get your free goodie bag. Cheers.
So I've got my paint primed in the machine, and what I'm going to do is simply just go for the easiest ones. I'm going to start with my adjustable shelves. They're really small, they're only like 400 by 400. And what I generally do is when I pick up a piece, if they've been sitting there all day, I generally just give them a little sweep off my hands, just make sure there's no rubble or anything or any debris that's just sat on them over the weekend or over the evening, whatever. Okay, so edge, 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 flip it around, edge, and then start at the top. And what I do is I spray about 250mm away from the piece. It probably seems like I was working at like speed of sound there, really fast or fast forward. But when you're working with airless sprayers, it's what you need to do. I've got my pressure set to about 1200 psi-ish. Play around with your pressure, see what works for you. You want to do a little test run, see how it comes out. You basically want to atomize the paint as best as you can. You don't want it coming out too fast, and you don't want to, well, if it comes out too fast, you use a lot more paint and you don't get as fine a finish. So I say anywhere around 1200 is okay. You can probably go as low as possibly 800, 900 to even higher than what I'm spraying right now, but again, trial it, see what finishes it gives you with different pressures. And at the moment I'm just running a 410 tip. I could change to the 310 for these little components, but you know, I don't really need to if I don't want to, and to be honest, I'm just being lazy. And it works absolutely fine with a 410. The fan width is just slightly bigger, and you can probably just see me going through the wheelable rack piece by piece, one at a time, and you can see how fast it is. I'm not speeding it up, this is all in real time. Each one takes maybe 15 seconds, and this is the third and final coat I'm giving them. Obviously with these adjustable shelves there's two faces, a top and a bottom, or a top and an underside. So that's double, so you need to wait for that face to dry and then flip it over. But ultimately, everything that you see on camera today and that I need to get sprayed today, ultimately it just needs one more face done. Can you see the way I'm spraying? I'm just spraying really fast, not stopping the gun. I'm starting away from my work, so let me just show you again. When I start, I start my trigger about here. I don't want to start it here. I don't want to start it and just do a sweeping motion. I want to just start here and keep my arm going like a robot. And do roughly half overlay. So if you do your first pass here, second pass is half overlay of your first, and etc. And it's a bit of a judgment call, to be fair. You just got to look at your finish, and you've got to look how your spray is looking, how it's covering your piece. Because ultimately you could have done 2 really light mist coats for your first coat, and your second coat has to be a little bit heavier, for example. Or the materials might soak the paint in at different rates, depending on where you bought it from. So it all comes down to how you apply all your coats. There you go, you can see how fast I'm getting through this, and it really is this fast. And I'm always getting asked questions, why don't you use HVLP? And to be fair, my honest answer is I've never used one before. I have actually got sort of like a Wagner all-in-one thing. It's sort of like a HVLP, but a very DIY version. And it just wasn't for me. Firstly, you need to thin your paints out, which is long. Secondly, you need to sort of strain your paint out. Strain your paint out, thin your paint out. That's 2 things you need to do before you even start. Then, you know, I'm not too sure if you can spray water-based paints. Most times people who use HVLPs are probably using polyurethane paint, pre-cat paint, so they're all the chemical-based, you know, all the lacquer-based paints, and I don't really know too much about those. So they smell a bit more. So that means you can't spray them anywhere near your house, or, you know, you need a proper workplace to spray that sort of stuff, proper equipment. If you're going down that route as well, then you're going to need explosion-proof fans and booths, because as far as I know, it's combustible fumes that come off. So your fans need to be explosion-proof, which are really expensive. You know, they might be £500–600 for one single fan, and you need to get proper filters. You know, you might be spending thousands on all your filters and all your equipment. So it starts becoming tricky for the DIYer, and I think the Airless sprayer works absolutely fine. I mean, I'm spraying on top of MDF, and you do get very slight texture. I'm not going to deny that. But like I said, I am trying out a different type of MDF pretty soon, which doesn't give you that texture. If you're spraying over something like birch ply, or anything with a grain, for example, an oak veneer or a veneer timber, and you don't mind that grain showing through, then there is no problems. Your Airless sprayer will give you an absolutely beautiful finish. Just spraying through general paints like I am, you know, eggshells, silks, emulsions, anything that you could just buy in the shops. And the beauty of that is it's relatively cheap compared to other paints. So there we go. Got a couple of spits on that one. Damn. Need to get those off. So they're the reasons I generally stick with Airless. Firstly, I've not had a lot of experience with HVLP. Like I said, just a little DIY version. And secondly, I just love spraying household paints through. This Airless sprayer pushes through any paint. As long as it's not tar, it'll push it through. Glosses, silks, emulsions, satins, eggshells, varnishes, water-based varnishes, anything water-based, and they do oil-based too, these machines, so you'll need to clean them out with thinners or white spirit. So how many more of those have we got? We're going to do one more of these relatively small pieces before we move on to the next size. So you can see the way I work. Front edge gets a blast, and then we'll just go work it really fast. And this isn't being sped up, like I said. It really is that fast. And let's see if you can get a view of the sheen. Yeah, it is very good. Right, so now I've showed you how to do the smaller components. Medium components, all right, let's go for one next size up just to show you one of those. Right, so when you're doing the edges and you've treated them and they've had 2 sprays already, because remember I'm on my 3rd coat, I don't necessarily have to do a 3rd spray on the front edge if I don't want to. These are absolutely solid now. They look like factory sprayed edges. They really do. So if I don't want to, I don't need to go over that edge once more. So I'm going to opt not to on this particular one. What I'm doing at the moment is just cleaning out my spray tip, because I've got a couple of spits, a couple of drips where as you're spraying over time, it gets a little build up here with these fine finish tips, and then over 10-15 minutes you'll get a drip. So we need to regularly clean these guards, shall I say. All right, so stay away from the work. There we go, to get your first, to get the gun going at first. You can see the way I move my arm, I try stopping it away from my work so it doesn't get the spits. I didn't do the front edge, like I said, I didn't need to, and that is another one done. So, okay, so that's a medium piece done. So we got a small and a medium. Right, what else is there to show you? All right, so let's go for a backing, all right? So what I'm going to do with backings, you can see here, this isn't going to be enough support for a backing. I always use backings because it makes my wardrobe solid as a sort of as a cube. Gives you easier fixings. Just makes your life easier just by simply adding a backing to your wardrobe. By adding that and spending a tiny bit more on materials, you're going to make your life a lot easier installing and putting this wardrobe and fitting it. So there we go. They're usually 6mm thick. So if I just put that on there and they're 8 foot long, they're going to sag down at the end. So all I do is I just get, again, one of my sacrificial pieces that live up against the wall there. Doesn't matter what they look like. As you can see, I spray on top of this every now and then as well for trims, which you'll see in a minute. And let's go ahead and get one of these backings. Here we go. We've got one about 1.8 long by about 900. Make sure there's no debris on it. It's been sitting there overnight. I'm happy. And what we're going to do with the backings, this is the way I do them. I start from the back, and I'm going to give 2 runs first at the back, and then I'll start working forward towards me. All right, so let's give it a go. Start from the edge and go. If they're longer, you've got to walk with it, or you've got to hop to one leg to the other. Gun. Why are you doing this to me, gun? You're blocking on me. I had this problem yesterday. Believe it or not, this is my 3rd attempt at spraying and recording it because I was getting blockages. Anyway, let's get cracking. So let's continue this one. Again, start from the edge. There we go. Keeping my arm about 200 to 300 mil above. And just look at where the spray's landing and just seeing if you're covering. And that will sort of tell you how fast you've got to go with a gun. Just constantly looking at your work. There we go, and then 2 passes on the edge. There we go, the gun is... I think there's a blockage in the spring where the trigger isn't turning the spray off, if you know what I mean. There's a blockage, so... Remember, these are backings, so 80mm the edges aren't going to get seen when they hit up against your carcass. So don't worry if you get a fingerprint right on the edge. And I'm just going to lean this out of the way because I've got a few more carcasses to do. It's nice and toasty in here now, so that's going to dry really quickly. So quickly adding this clip in, just because as you can see I was having problems with the spraying. As I was letting go of the trigger, it just kept on squirting out, and I didn't have time to solve the problem whilst I was making the video for you guys. I had a half-an-hour video to make, so I had to just get that done so I can crack on. After I've done the video, I popped to get my spare guns. There we go, that's the old one, and the old guard, the old filter, and this is another spare gun that I have. So what I've done is I've just replaced it on the end of the hose. It looks old, it is old, but it still works just absolutely fine, and if not, a little bit better, to be fair. So I put a new guard on there. I put the same 410 tip on, reuse that because there's nothing wrong with that, and the filter inside the gun, that is a new one as well. There you go, stops and starts, look, as it should. Absolutely amazing. You can see the old fans in action there, can't you? The overspray being sucked in. Little experiment. Oh yeah, they're working lovely. So back on track again, and like I said, I did try and make this video 3 times, and it's always the way, isn't it? You're trying to make a video when you're under time constraints, things always go wrong, and this is a prime example of how airless sprayers are perfect for 99% of the time, but every 1% you do get a problem that you have to solve. So I'm leaving those little bits in the video of the blockage just to show you that, you know, things can go wrong and you may need to overcome a few problems here or there. It's not always plain sailing. So there you go, thought I'd add that in, and what I'm going to do is just go back to the video and ding! All right, let's see if we can get some trims done and some drawers done before the video ends. And then I've covered everything. I would have covered small flat pieces, a trim, a drawer, and a door as well, shake style door. All right, trims. So all I do with my trims, let's pick up some small pieces, for example. There we go, I've got one with a moulding. We've got 2 edges there, 2 edges there, and 2 edges there. There we go. These, I believe these have had like 3 or 4 coats already, these particular ones. These have had 3, because I came in and I did a little bit of extra spraying. But just show you, I put it on my board, and I generally don't have a lot of trims, so if anything, I change my sacrificial board after every set. Once I have, and the paint is dried on the board, the board, I can reuse the board again. So let's go ahead and spray. There we go. Gun trigger doesn't want to turn off again on me. The bastard. Every time I want to do a video, this is what happens. And all I do is just chuck them on the rack. As you can see. 2, 3, 4. Right, so that is how I do trims. Like I said, once this is dry again, because there's overspray on it, I can reuse it for some more trims. If I had another set of trims, I'll just use another board and keep doing that. But ultimately, I can reuse this and reuse it every time it dries. So that'll go to the side. Right there. So now, what should we do? Should we do a drawer for you? So for the drawers, I take away my turntable. I don't need it. And what I do is I've got a bit of Corex. You know, the floor protection, plastic. And the reason I use that is you can spray over it. Once it's dry, you can peel it off and reuse it and reuse it. So this is ultimately here to protect the ply underneath. And then I've got a set of packers on top of that, which is gonna, when I put my drawer on, the drawer doesn't touch the workpiece. Well, not the workpiece, the plastic underneath and get all mucky. All right, so let's go ahead and pick one up. There we go, we got our drawer. As you notice on the back of the drawer, I don't paint. You can, it's optional, but you never see it. But I find it's a lot easier to help you take the drawer off as you finish spraying, and the underside. I never see them. But again, If there's two at the bottom that you can basically never ever see, I don't worry about them. But if there's a few of them, once I've finished spraying everything, I'll bring them back in and just give them a couple of light coats just to make them white or give them colour. So what I do is stand my drawer up on the bottom, the bit that hasn't been sprayed. And what I'm going to do is get my gun and I'm going to start from the centre and work my way round in a circle motion, aiming into the corners first and slowly work into the front. So imagine I'm on the, you can see through the drawer, I'm working in this corner and working my way outwards. Obviously inside. Once I've done that, I'll do the bottom. So start away from the drawer and go. And now I'm doing the front edge quickly. And now I'm going to do the inside bottom. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And this is the reason why, if you have a look, I'm holding the drawer on the unpainted side to help me get it off the actual bench. And I'm holding it underside here. So by not spraying those two faces just yet, I'm able to pick up the drawer and put it away, put it near the heater. Now I'm going to put that near the floor on a board so it's not resting directly on the floor. A piece of 18mm scrap near the heater, because we want to get that dry pretty quick. Generally, when you're spraying drawers, they tend to go on a little bit more heavy because you've got less control. So we're going to pick up a shaker style door now off of the rack. There we go. This has had 3 coats. It's had a prime, or the first coat, shall I say, because my primer is using a top coat still. And it's had 2 extra coats. Again, I do fine mist coats to build up my layers, basically. I forgot to do my bench, so let's put that back. And there's no harm putting my turntable back on. And if I wanted to, I could protect the turntable or my door at least with a clean piece. I know it's got a little bit of paint on, but it's dried on. Don't worry about that. That way my door will go on that nicely and spread the load a little bit more. We want to try and give these doors a hit everywhere. All edges, top, sides, inside the shaker. And again, I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing lying around that's going to ruin my finish that may have landed on them overnight. Okay, they haven't. So first things first, go for this edge and this corner, because my gun is aiming this towards this direction. I can also hit the top edge of the door, which is here. So let's go ahead and give that a go. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then just a quick hit there. There we go. So we've done that edge, we've done in this corner, done the top of the door. So now pick it up like a little forklift. Beep, 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 beep. Put it down. Move around the door. Get a grip on the other side. Again, now the door is the other way around. Put it back down the same way. That was my way. And all I'm going to do now is do the same technique. I'm going to continue to do the whole door, to be honest. Don't need to do the top anymore. I'm just going to start with this front edge and work my way across the whole door. And that should be it. All right, so let's go for it. Second go, take 2. Right, remember this is my 3rd and final coat now. Well, no, 4th and final coat. And you don't want to go too mad, otherwise you just have a really heavy eggshell look to the doors. So this is why I build up my layers. So you get a nice finish. If you go too heavy and you're just going for 2 thick coats at the beginning, you're more likely to get an eggshell effect and your grain to rise. There you go, shaker style doors done. Okay, so here we go. We've got the large piece on. We didn't change the bench at all. It's supported enough. We're going to go for the front edge once more, a couple of passes and work our way along the top. Again, every time we get to the end, we're just going to go over ever so slightly, an inch or so. As far as I can tell, you might notice a bit different from bird's eye view. Work your way back like a robot. Just keep your motion. Remember, it's muscle memory, so you get to learn that motion. Go. 2 hits on the front edge, work your way to the top. Again, check where the spray is hitting your work and assess how it's covering, and that will tell you how fast you've got to be going with your gun. Constantly just looking at your work, not the gun itself. That should be natural after time, of the distance of how high you need to be, and finish your gun away from the work. Let's go ahead and put that on the rack. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're taking something away from this. It's nice and toasty in here, so all the painting that I've just done will be curing really fast. I've still got tons to do. I can't really film everything. So you've learned how to spray drawers as a whole, the technique I use, shaker style, what way you start, how to flip them over, small components, how to protect your bench for different components, and what I use. I just use strips of Corex, as you can see. Once the Corex dries, you can just peel that off and just recycle it, and just make sure you have lots of scrap lying around just to use as table extenders, etc, etc. Thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. Remember, there's links to all the products that I've been using in the description. And let us know, what do you use? Have you got a sprayer at the moment? What do you spray with? Have you been tempted to buy an Airless sprayer by watching the videos I make? Any feedback that you have would be amazing, guys. It would just help me to make my next video, you know, and plan for future videos. So there we go. I'm going to leave it at that, and love you and leave you, and see you in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye, bye, bye.